What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Retro Yugioh, and today I have a first place Fire King Snake Eyes deck pro for you guys. I played 2 tournaments with this deck. I have gotten 9-0 undefeated. I have literally 2-0'd every single one of my opponents. This deck is just really unfair and it's really powerful, and yeah, I feel like the hand trap interactions people are playing right now just do not matter versus this deck unless you have like 2 or 3 hand traps. So given that, I built the deck to kind of help prepare against the mirror match in ways where some people may not. But yeah, anyways, we'll get started with the deck profile. Yeah, let's go. So first off, we play 1 copy of the Snake Eyes Flamebird's Dragon. This card is amazing. But you only need to play 1 of it, because unless you're playing pure Snake Eyes, any multiple copies, it would just be a brick. You never really want to draw it, but it's generally how you just do all your finishing combos. 1 copy of Snake Eyes Oak. This is not mandatory. However, I like to play 1 copy of Oak as it helps you play through Droll, and it also helps you play through Nibiru. Next off, sorry about the blank, but it's 2 copies of Snake Eyes Poplar. My second copy has not arrived in the mail yet, so big shout outs and big thank yous to the people who let me borrow a second copy. You know who you are, because I probably couldn't play the deck without that. But yeah, this is a really good card, and it just makes the deck probably tier 0 power level. I fully expect this card to get limited in some way sooner or later. And additionally, 3 copies of Snake Eyes Ash, which I also feel will get limited. This card on normal summon just does far too much for 1 card. It is absurdly powerful, and your opponent is forced to interact with them, and if they do not, you probably are winning the game. I think that's a very standard Snake Eyes lineup, unless you're playing pure. Next, we have 3 copies of Diabellstar the Black Witch. Some people only want to play 1 copy of this and play more non-engine, which is a fine point if you want to do that. I personally am a believer that you want to play maximum copies of all of your engine cards, because how you lose some games is by not having engine to actually play. So focus on building your deck with engine first and then add the non-engine in secondary. But yeah, 3 witch definitely correct. It gives you plays as frequently as possible. Additionally, if you get drolled on the Poplar ad from Snake Eyes Ash, you can just summon the witch and then you still get to the level 1s from original. So it just really doesn't matter. And it's also an extender, another body on board. 3 copies of Fire King Kieran. Shouldn't be really a surprise. This is just standard. Play 3 of this. It is your best Fire King monster. Being able to dodge hand traps like Veiler and Imperm with your fire monsters is excellent. Being able to destroy it and then special back and then non-target pop a card on your opponent's field is just something that's really unfair. That said, we're only playing 1 copy of Garunix, and the reason for a 1 copy of Garunix is you never need a second follow-up copy. The deck is just really consistent about playing anyways, and having multiple Garunix in hand is just really bad because it's hard. You need something to trigger it, so you only really want to search this card. And then also you have less Fire King monsters in the deck because we're playing a smaller condensed Fire King package now with the Snake Eyes. So again, you only really need 1 of this. Once you resolve 1 on turn 1, it's really hard for your opponent to beat you. And mainly because you already get your graveyard set up as well. And then 1 copy of Ponix. Ponix is pretty standard at 1 now. You never want to normal summon Ponix. You only really want to search it or special summon it from original. So just having 1 is fine. And after you resolve the first, you really don't need to have a second one. And then we also have 1 copy of Avata. And the reason for 1 Avata is it's here mainly to help you play through Nibiru and just also be like more interaction on your opponent's turn. If you normal summon this and you have the bonfire, there actually are combo lines that will insulate you fully from your opponent's hand traps. And then we have 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Shouldn't be too off topic from Ash Blossom. It is the most powerful hand trap because it has the most coverage against the most decks. However, I actually don't like this card versus the mirror match, and the reason for that is Ash Blossom just seems kind of weak against the mirror, and if they have any way to follow up, they can just go into heater lines, bring back your Ash Blossom, and then go into Promethean Princess lines from there. So Ash Blossom I don't love in the mirror match. I feel like this deck just plays through hand traps very easily. Given that, we also have 1 1-for-1. This is just more copies of Black Witch, and it gives you another extender. Not really much to say, but it's more engine cards, so if you do get stopped, you have more engine just to continue push through. The Wanted package, which isn't really a surprise. I know it's expensive, but it is expensive for a reason, because it is very, very good, and it just gives you more free extenders. Speaking of more free extenders, Bonfire. This card is ridiculous and does warrant the price tag. Bonfire is both a starter card because it can search you the Ash, but it's also an extender because it can search you the Poplar now. So this card is just absurd. Like, and this whole engine is just absurd. Like, this deck just is too good. It plays through everything. 2 copies of Fire King Island. I'm not sure I'm going to continue to play 2 copies of this card. Generally, the hands which you lose the game are hands where you see multiple copies of this card or see just a copy of this card in general. I don't necessarily like this card. In fact, I think it's actually really bad after you resolve the first one. You never want to see the second one. It's never even wants to be your search option. So I'm probably going to cut this down to 1 and play another engine card in the main. 1 Sanctuary, again, it's not really that good. After you resolve the first one, you never want to see another. And I'm not even playing Garunix in the extra because I don't like Garunix as an interaction point. So I don't even have that for this. This is simply just here as a way to find Island, to put another card on the board for your Snake Eyes to send. Single copy of Circle of the Fire King. I actually like this card a lot because, again, you have a very limited number of Fire King monsters, so it's better than Skyburn for that reason. And this card also has just more utility because it's any fire monster, not just a Fire King. So you can use it for anything that way. To bring back, you can like reborn a Flamebird's Dragon. You can, if your opponent goes for Heater, you can target a fire monster you control and then bring back the target so they lose that target. It also helps in the battle phase, being a quick play. You can attack with, say, a Garunix. You can just target the Garunix with this, destroy it, bring back the Kieran, put more damage on board that way, or trigger other effects. So it's really good. I just think it's a really good card, better than the other one. Non-engine, I played 3 copies of Super Poly. I think Super Poly is just a better option right now. I think a lot of people are inherently playing through Nibiru just because of the power ceiling of the deck, playing through Droll. But I think a lot of the weaker level players or the average level players are playing into Super Poly. Or if you do see them go for that like Ambler Whale, Flamebird effect, you can just Super Poly them in draw phase with turn player priority, and then they lose their interaction points, which is kind of nice. And they can't bring back the IP either. This card is just really good for that. It also helps you clear the board versus a voiceless voice. So you can just Super Poly away their Skull Guardian and Low, which is nice. Then again, against some of the more rogue matchups, you can Super Poly them as well. Like unoutable monsters are really annoying. So yeah, Super Poly overall is just a really nutty card. 3 copies of Talents. I like Talents more than most people. I think this card is just always good to main. The only way this deck really loses is when you get stopped. So if you get stopped at any point, you just can use Talents as more follow-up, see your opponent's hand, know how you have to play around whatever they have. Additionally, going second, you can force your opponent to have to go into an interaction point, and Talents take their, say, Appaloosa they leave on the board. When you take an Appo, it means you have that points of interaction and you can more freely play through your opponent's board. And then finally, 3 copies of Impermanence. I like Impermanence as a hand trap to play. While it might be low impact in some cases, you can always use it to turn off your opponent's Appaloosa. If your opponent shotguns Flamebird Dragon in draw phase, you can always use this to stop that. Then they won't get back the IP Masquerena. So there's a lot of really good options to use this card. Also, it doesn't trigger your opponent's Talents. So that's it for the main deck. It is 40 cards. For the extra, 1 copy of Appaloosa. Again, not much to say here. It's pretty obvious why you play this. I like to do a lot of my lines where I set up Appo before I go for my original lines in Fire Kings. That way I'm insulated against Nib. Or you can do the lines where you set up a board through Draw Unlock. The new access code line, which is Zelantas and Raging Phoenix. Ambler Whale for like end boards where you get stopped, set up so you can always bring back your IP Masquerena. 2 copies of Promethean Princess. You need to play 2 copies of this card because if you don't and you get hit by Nibiru, then you don't have the second one to follow up to still push through it. So you play a second one for that reason, but also you can, if you get hit by Soul Release, you have a second one again for follow-up as well. A single copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Not much really to say about Nightmare Phoenix. It's just another thing you can use to help push through like back row decks, so like this one here. Also, if you need to link off with a copy of Promethean Princess because you're locked in a fire, this is another fire that you can use. Also, you can use it to dodge against hand traps, or just like imperms or anything with a Kieran in hand, so that's really nice there. Single copy of Sunlight Wolf, generic fire, recur your resources, shouldn't have to explain too much about that. One copy of Heater. Again, everyone's playing a fire deck, everyone's playing Ash Blossom, so it's really OP and it's really oppressive in the mirror match. It's just really good if your opponent Ash Blossoms you, because you can just link with this. Hey, bring back their Ash, make a Promethean Princess, bring something back, and then link into a 4 if you need to. Single copy of Dark Charmer. Most decks that aren't playing fire have at least one dark target, and the decks that aren't playing in darks should have the that Black Witch in the graveyard, so you can bring back your opponent's Black Witch and go from there. One copy of SP. It should be generically staple in every deck right now. And one copy of IP Masquerade, so you can use this to quick link on your opponent's turn as another form of interaction. One Link Karibo for converting your level 1s into a dark to go into Dark Charmer, or you can just use it as battle protection under your Apo. And then the last one was a Skarura and Muddragon as your super poly targets. Not much to say there. These are really good just in a lot of ways. And then for the side deck, the only things that were really relevant for the side deck was one copy of Change of Heart. I played this in the mirror match. It was like it was a 15th slot in the side deck. I think I used it to take my opponent's Apo in the mirror one time. I think I used it to force out my opponent's interactions, and I was able to break their boards from there. Just really good card for the mirror match. Maybe I'll consider that more. 2 copies of Lightning Storm, another card that's like more so just here for like the rogue non-fire based decks like Labyrinth. It's also decent against the Rescue Ace versions of the deck as well, so that's another thing that you can use it against. But yeah, it's good because it was good for me because I played a lot of times going second post side, and it's like the best second side. And then also 3 Dark Rulers. Dark Rulers for like all the combo spam decks, like say Manadium. If they don't set up the reframing, you can just Dark Ruler them. Again, against a Snake, that's pure Snake Eyes deck, because that deck sets up like Borrowed Savage and Baron, so you need to have something that can just like 1 for 3 their board of interactions, and then you only have to play through their hand traps because they have no interaction left on field, so that's really good for that. I did play Call by the Grave, but I never used it because, again, I never went second. And then I guess the only other card which is really relevant was like Anti-Spell Fragrance here, which was like a go first option. Just in theory, it's really good. I couldn't tell you if it was any good. And then the other 6 cards were like irrelevant. They just didn't matter. I'd play anything you want here, whatever you really want. I couldn't tell you if they were good or not, again, because I never played going first. But yeah. That's the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As I said, all matches, I played 9 total rounds. All games, I won 2-0. I didn't miss the hand traps at all. I just felt like they were too low impact to be effective. And if you're playing against a good player, they generally have it planned through Nib and through Droll. So let's just not play those cards. Let's just play cards you can't really play around, like Super Poly. Force interaction, have them set up a board, Super Poly them, and then they can't really do anything against you. So yeah, I'm Retro Yugioh. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my content. And also, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Peace, bye.